Hello and welcome to this second lecture on oral skills, and it is on comparing. Comparing is a modern career option which is very attractive and has many takers. We shall see here what comparing means and how to prepare for it, how to pursue it. Comparing means conducting a program. A compeer is the person who conducts the program. He is also called an anchor. He is a link between the different parts of the program, and he has to make his announcements, his quotations by making use of various expressions. He connects the different parts of a program. The success of a program in modern time depends upon the ability of the anchor or the proficiency of the anchor also. Now, what are the qualities of a good compeer? If you wish to pursue this career as a compeer, then you must know the nature of the program that you are going to compare. If you get an opportunity to compare any program, then you must first study the nature of the program, whether it is formal, whether it is informal, to which area of knowledge is related to, or which subject it is related to. And accordingly, you must gather information about the particular program or information related to the area or topic of the program, so that you can make use of that information during your announcements. Secondly, you must know the people involved, because you are required to make various announcements, involve people of the program in your different actions during the program. You must know their names, you must be acquainted with them, you must know their work, their contribution, their area of specialization, so that you can make certain comments, certain statements, announcements related to that. You can provide some piece of information to the audience related to them. Then you must know similar other events, so that you can gather information as to the parts of such events and the preparation that you need to make for such events. Mostly, you must know the basics of the events. Basics of the events include those actions that are common to almost all types of programs. Now, as a program, it has to have a beginning, it has to have a middle, and it has to have an end. So, what are the different types of announcements that you can make for the beginning of the program, for the middle of the program, and for the end of the program? You should gather information about this by watching, by studying the various programs on radio and television, and accordingly trying to master or learn from the performance of some famous anchors. In Marathi, you can see famous anchors like Sudhir Gadgil and even some more. But this helps in mastering the skill, or Mangala Khadilkar, and you can accordingly master the skills. Then you must be prepared for unexpected changes. Why? Because even if an anchor or a compeer is provided with a schedule of the program beforehand, he has prepared his announcements and speeches accordingly, small pieces of utterances that he has to make in between, well in advance. Still, there is every possibility that at the time of the program or the function, certain changes may be required. Some person may be unable to attend it. That is, some of the dignitaries may not be attending it. There may be some change in order of the actions, or the schedule. There may be changes in time, there may be changes in venue, and these have to be addressed. You cannot say that I have prepared and I will go in the same way. No, you have to change accordingly. Or in that case, if you are unable to adapt to the changes, then your comparing suffers. Then you should acquire the language skills required for comparing. Now, because comparing is an oral presentation skill, it requires mastery of the oral or spoken language, and for that you need to read lot of books, gather lot of information, as also the linguistic skills. The language should be quite efficient. You must be witty. You must know more than one use of certain expressions. You must be able to use the expression in their various shades of meanings, words with their different shades of meanings, the different usages, sometimes knowledge of dialects or other varieties of a language also help in creating a good effect. You must be able or armed with certain quotes or certain anecdotes that you can add to the speech or announcements, so as to make the program or your comparing very effective. But most important is whatever quotations you use, whatever anecdotes you use, whatever information you give must be related to the topic of the program or the theme of the program. And for that matter, you have to study the area or the theme of the program, what other people have said, spoken, written about this particular topic, what is in the domain of the general knowledge of this particular area. You must gather it. Secondly, you must also gather information regarding the gathering, that is the audience, the nature of the audience, whether it is composed of experts or novices or students, or it is a common social group. You must be aware of that also. Then the most important is the script of a comparing. Now, as we have seen in the first lecture, every oral skill presentation involves 3 phases: preparation, planning, and execution. Preparation and planning. These are prerequisites before execution of the plan. Now, script of the comparing is an important part of the planning and preparation of a particular event, and you must have the script ready before the actual program or actual execution takes place during the program. For this, you must have a knowledge of the various parts of comparing, of the script of comparing. What are these parts? Every particular announcement has to be written on paper. So you must have it ready with you. Offhand sort of presentation is not useful. So every comparing program begins with greetings. Now, the greetings could depend upon the time of the day that the event is taking place, or it could depend upon the nature of the audience. And similarly, we have to be very careful regarding the choice of the greetings. Some types of greetings are specific to the time of the day, like good morning, good evening, so on. And some are neutral, like welcome, namaste. And certain greetings are gender specific or depending upon the nature of the audience, like whether it is formal, then you say welcome ladies and gentlemen, or if it is informal, you may say friends. So these greetings vary, but you have to make use of or be prepared with all types of greetings and use accordingly. Welcome, namaste, these are neutral types of greetings and you can use for any type of formal or informal program. Then introduction. Introduction should be quite polite. Use of stocks expressions can be made and also certain additions according to the need. Introduction to what? Introduction to the nature of the program, introduction of the guests, introduction of the schedule of the entire program. So these parts are included in the introduction. But we must be careful that our introduction doesn't extend too much. It is not too long, because if the introduction is too long, the audience gets bored. So we must take care to keep it brief, interesting, and effective. It should make use of stock expressions also, but it must also add something new. Then, requesting and inviting. These are the actions involved in every event. You have to invite, request different people for different actions, and announcements regarding these have to be included in the script of the comparing with reference to the schedule. Care should also be taken that after every action is performed, we should not forget to thank the persons involved. This is a part of the general etiquettes and manners. So, these also should be included in the announcements. Next, there could occur chances when you may have to apologize. If you misspell, mistake names of certain dignitaries, or if you forget a particular action, then you may be required to apologize. You may also be required to apologize if some changes in the schedule have occurred because of you or because of the organizers. Then you may have to apologize for it and tell them accordingly to the audience. But these are rarely these take place rarely. These are rare occurrences and they don't occur now and then. Complimenting. If a speaker or a participant has spoken well, made a very good presentation, we can compliment them. A good action, good word by the speaker or the participant needs to be complimented, and it should be done during the comparing. Next, there is use of quotations. Quotations are beautiful lines or sentences from poets or authors, great people who have written nice words, nice thoughts in few words. But we should be careful while using quotations. First, the quotations must be related to the topic of the or area of the event. And secondly, they should be short and effective. So, this is very important while making use of quotations. To be able to use quotations, we must be widely read. A lot of reading is required so that you can gather good words, good sentences by authors all around, and they can be used during the comparing. Finally, every program has to conclude sometime or the other. So, a conclusion, a proper conclusion should be done. An end should not be abrupt. Usually, every function ends with vote of thanks or giving thanks to the various persons involved in the program. So, that should also be done very effectively. Then, these are certain points that we need to remember during comparing. First is the comparer's speech should be brief. Okay, How should the speech be? It should be brief. You should not go on talking and talking without end. If you do endless speaking, then the people get bored, irritated even, because they have come to see the program and not to listen to your endless speech. You have to speak. Your speech is important, but it should become a link or just a way of connecting different parts of the program. It should not steal the attention of the program or the main theme or the main speakers. So, your expertise should not be displayed too much. It should be displayed in very brief and certain few sentences which are enough for it. It should be to the point. It should not be verbose. It should not be very sprawling sort of presentation. It should be to the point, because you are expected to link and not give a speech on your own. Thirdly, it should be relevant to the area or the topic of presentation, and it must be important, significant from the point of the audience, from the point of the organizers also. If you speak irrelevantly, then the emphasis, the effect of the program is destroyed. Secondly, you should add something new than what the audience knows, because otherwise, if you tell something which they know already or everything that they know already, then they will not feel interested. If you tell something that they do not know at all, then again that is a problem. So the one should be very much relevant in speaking. It should be effective, because in very few words you have to create your effect or impact on the audience. They should remember you for your presence, or for your speech, for your words, for your pleasant ways, and so it should be effective. You should be a link between the previous part and the next part, and you should not become a hole in yourself. So your role should be very clear in your mind as a compeer to link the earlier part to the next part. Your demeanor, your presence should be pleasant. It should be a smiling face. It should make witty comments. It should reflect in your body language that you are taking interest in the program. Your enthusiasm should be reflected. And finally, there should be proper voice modulation. Voice modulation involves changes in the tone, the pitch of the voice, and different utterances that you make. Now, voice modulation helps in creating the proper expected effect on the audience. It also helps in creating the mood of the audience. So, proper voice modulation is also required. These are certain points that we should remember while preparing for the career of comparing. Now you may wonder what type of actually questions may appear in your exams. In your exams, you are expected to write a script, or rather some 8 to 10 announcements for the given program, and you will have to write them. Now let us see one solved example of the script of comparing that is likely to appear into your exam question papers. So here is a comparing script for the annual prize distribution program, and we begin like this. Namaste and a warm welcome to everyone. On behalf of Mahila Mahavidyalaya, I welcome you all to the most awaited function in a student's life, prize distribution. Every student tries his very best in studies, sports, cultural activities, and various competitions, and there is a strong wish to succeed, win a prize. Today is the day you were waiting for over the last 1 year. And then we begin the announcements. I request all the dignitaries to light the auspicious lamp. Now, in India, in Maharashtra, we find that usually a program begins with the lighting of the auspicious lamp, and so all the dignitaries should be requested to light the lamp. Announcement 2. Thank you, everybody. I now request our Art Circle students to sing the welcome song under the guidance of music teacher Srimati Swaraj Joshi. Like the lighting of a lamp, the welcome song or some religious or devotional song often forms a part of a program in our country, in our culture. Then you can say, thank you for the melodious song. It has set the tone for the function. I now request our principal, Dr. Srimati Deshpande, to deliver the introductory speech because there should be an introduction to every program. Thank you, madam. I now request the convener of the program, Shri Patil SK, to introduce the chief guest of today's program and request the principal madam to felicitate the chief guest. Now, introduction of the chief guest, felicitation are the usual accompaniments or usual parts of any function. So, in this also, you can include the introduction and felicitation of the chief guest. Thank you, Patil sir and Deshpande ma'am. Before going on to the distribution of prizes, I request all of you to lend a very attentive ear to the speech of today's chief guest. You have just been introduced to our guest, but her real introduction will be possible only through her speech and experience. I request madam to kindly guide us. Thank you so much, madam. I'm sure our students have benefited immensely from your experience. I now request Srimati Paranspe to take over and proceed with the prize distribution. And I request our chief guest, madam, to kindly give away the prizes. So this is the polite request. These are the types of announcements that you need to make during a program. Thank you, madam. I now request the Co-convener Shri Phadke BN to offer vote of thanks. Thank you, sir. With the permission of the chair, I now declare the program over. Now, this has been one example of how you can write the script of a program, comparing of a program. Here are some exercises for practice. Prepare a script for comparing on the occasion of 1. Inauguration of Commerce Association, Annual Social Gathering, Farewell Function, Food Festival, and Welcome Function for first year students. Now, these are the exercises, and I wish that you try to write the scripts of comparing for these functions. Thank you and happy learning.